Hello, good evening. Uh, actually, uh, this was my sixth attempt, and I got conference out from FSB Dehradun. And I want to share my experience, like where I did mistake and where you should not repeat the same thing. And also, I was just sharing my, the things which I have done in my FSB. And first of all, I want to share some stats of FSB, that the reporting candidates. There were 191 candidates reported there for the screening test, and out of 191, 55 of us we got a screened in, and out of 55, four were got uh, seconded because of, I think, they have a minor issue with their documentation. The best thing about the FSB is they do not, if you have cleared the screening test, if you do not have the proper document, they will just give you some other dates if available. But in case of Coast Guard, actually, I have been to Coast Guard SSB also for PSB. I have not at that time I had not won OBC NCL certificate, and at that time, although I got it, I got screened in, but I'm not able to. Actually, I'm not allowed to take the to appear in the FSB because of they have clearly mentioned that if you do not have any document, if you do not provided the documentation at that after stage one, you just got screened out. So in the best thing about the FSB, and I don't know about the SSB, in the army board they do so or not, but in FSB they do like that. And so that 51 of finally the 51 of us has left for the stage 2 testing, and in that uh, four of uh, four of the candidate has got recommended from our board and our batch, and one in our batch. Actually, there were six batch, if I remember correctly. There were six batch, and out of that, one freshers got recommended, and our was third batch, and mine was third batch. And in our batch, one boy, that is Pazi, and then got recommended. He was a very cool, fantastic, and you know, he's good guy actually. And my group were very good actually, and starting from the initial that screening test. So there were a picture which is showing of a person. Actually, if I'm talking about that picture, first I will just give you a brief idea about that background of that picture. A picture which is shown to us is it looks like room which have a window. Okay, and that is the setup of that picture. And if we're talking about the foreground, there is a sofa on which a person is just resting, not proper resting, just keeping his head on his one of his hand like this, and half of his body is like uh, like on the sitting posture on sofa, and half of his body is laying down on sofa. And the person is wearing suit, that is a coat pant. So somewhat he is looking like a corporate person. He's looking like he's working in a corporate company or something like that. And I made a story simple around that a person in actions part. Actually, I perceive that whichever whoever a student has written in action part, that he is thinking, he is pondering, he is just thinking upon, or he just resting after completing his work, he got a screening actually. And the rest of the guy who has made irrelevant story, actually some of my group mates has made a story around like he's pradhan of his mukhya of his village, something like that. He definitely, there is no chance of to getting a screening, although he has narrated very well. And as you can see that my narration is not that good, but although I could make in I could made myself in a screening, because my reason was to getting a screening was, I think, I was very good in discussions part. As far as the discussion is concerned, I was the first person who have initiated the discussions, and actually pave the way for the further discussions. And actually I was written in actions part that person is resting after completing his job, after completing his project in his office. And my story was simple story like he's a software engineer working in XYZ company, and he was given a task to create a software for his company, particularly for the communication software for his company. So he just divided the teams and distributed the works among themselves according to their proficiency and knowledge and their department. And he also read, he also read basis of the many such applications which is prevailing in the market, to know the uh, better idea, to know the deep knowledge how these apps work, and how the apps can be, if the app could be made, how it can be betterment. And also keeping the things in mind, like nowadays the problem of cyber attacks and thefts is there. So also he and his teams keeping the things in the mind, like he has to actually give security to the apps, in order to it can be saved from the cyber attacks and hijacking or something like that. So I made a very simple story around that. And but when I was in third in my group, when everybody is narrating the story, and I was listening to each and every person. So I, at first I thought that like nobody has a very similar story, and it is going to be very a mess among ourselves to come for a common conclusion. But instead what happened actually, nobody of us had a way, any common points. But what I noticed, like that two and three of us had made story around corporate world only. But that person has different story, but he has also made a character around, like he is working in something like a corporate company. So I just mentioned that things, and I just started the discussions and said that most of us had perceived that, like I'm by with giving the reason, I said that most of us had perceived that, like the picture shown to us is actually the person. If you're talking about the person's whereabouts, he is wearing a suit and coat pant. That is simply, and that is simply looks like the person is from the corporate world. He's working in some corporate company. I just paved the way for the further discussions. So then I keep quiet, and then I kept quiet for my for next 1 or 2 minutes, and then I listened to the discussions. And later on our group was divided, bifurcated by the assessors into two halves, in order to come to common conclusions and have a healthy discussions. And also for the assessors are not getting uh, not getting listen to the our points properly. So he has done it simply. But like our group has come to a common conclusion. But I thought at starting I was thinking like we could not be able to come to a common conclusion. But hopefully we have came to a common conclusion. And in our group, you don't believe me, I think, but five of us got a screened in out of 10. That was that was the highest ratio, I think, among other groups. Because later on after screening, I just asked the other just asked another groups, like how many of you got a screening of your groups. They said just only two, one, something like that, three. But in our group, five of us had got a screening. And that five, and out of that five, four of us having the same group for the rest of the 4 days. That was the good part. And the day one is completes with that. Not day one actually. The half day is completed, and we got screened in. And later on, yes, one thing I left is like PI. That OIR test. OIR test was that's too easy actually, and they have given us 27 minutes time for each OIR booklet. 74 and 75 numbers booklet were there, and they had given us sufficient time. And also the things were marked on the many questions were many actually tough questions were marked on the OIR sheet, and that was correct actually. So it's depend upon your luck. But if you're talking about the 27 minutes, also there is a that is sufficient time to do it. Actually, in first OIR, I had time left, that is like I think I had 5 minutes or 7 minutes time left with in the first OIR. But that how my OIR and screening went well. And on the very like on the same day, we have our psych test in the evening. I think after we have assembled in psych in a hall where our screening, our PPDT has actually conducted, and there we have um, gathered for the psych test. And our psych test is started from I think 6 and is completed by 9. In psych test, I think yes, in psych test only I have did mistakes actually, because I do not want to write preconceived stories. So in order to like I this time I felt that like that 4 minute time is not that sufficient for me, so I need to improve a lot in that part in psych test actually. And in that tat pictures actually I have seen like not I have seen actually, many of us have seen, many of our group members have also said to me after that like this tat pictures were very related to the like the most of the tat pictures have children, especially child were there, child were there, like many children were there in each picture, like 5 6 children were there. So I could not relate myself to the pictures, and I could not want to and I have thought that like I could not relate myself according to like I could not write any preconceived story regarding that if the picture is shown to us, and if in that picture a child is shown, and how could I write like the age of a child or something, like I could not give I could not made I could not made him as a hero, because the child was very young. I think he might be of 14 15 or 16, not beyond that. So I could not able to actually relate myself to that pictures, and I could not able to get any idea regarding that. So there I lagged, and 2 3 of my tat story were not completed, and that there I have to work upon a lot. And the rest of the thing went very well, and tomorrow I will talk about the another part also. Thank you for watching my video.